Hey, welcome to another episode of Windham Weekly. I'm your host, Ken Fulham, the voice of Windham. And my partner, of course, is Mark Doyle.
The heart of Windham.
If you want to believe that. And today, without exception, I just want you to know we cannot take calls today because this is a taped show, because we had to make an exception. And only an exception I would make for someone of this stature in our community, and that is the icon of Windham politics, the former icon of Windham Radio, because you are listening to the number one radio show with Ken Fulham, Mark Doyle, in the Windham Weekly Show. But I am really honored and pleased to welcome Dennis O'Brien to our show. Dennis, say a few words, and I mean a few.
I'm really pleased to be here, Ken, and I'm here. I'm also pleased to be here with Mark. And also with Matt Rupar, because I've worked with I worked with a lot longer than you guys have, and he, as you know, he does a great job for all of us who can't run the board ourselves, and I don't, and I have not learned. I probably should have spent the time to learn, but I didn't, and it's just so much better to have Matt here smiling back at me.
We need Matt. We need
that, right? Anyway, it's great to be on the show, and I'll tell you one of the best things that. I love Art Robotham. Art Robotham's a great guy. And he came up with a great idea. He came up with a great idea to have lots and lots of shows on talk shows, because talk radio is cool. And it's really good for the people of Windham. It's good for the station. And to have all these great shows on the radio. And when I was very, very happy when you guys got on the air. I listen to you often. I'm one of your regular listeners. And I don't always agree with you. I don't always agree with my wife.
No.
But most of the time.
Yeah. Well, we are honestly and sincerely pleased to have you on the show. I mean, you and your wife, who, let me stop myself and say happy birthday, Susan Johnson, our esteemed state representative, who she knows her role. She knows her role in Hartford and what it means to bring home the money and the programs to Windham, and I personally thank her for all the assistance she's given our community, as I'm sure Mark will share into that. Thank you. But happy birthday, Susan. I hope you have a wonderful evening Thursday. But yeah, we want Dennis on because we're in the height of the campaign, right? This is the last week. Early voting has been going on. I don't know, the numbers are looking okay in that respect. And as most people know by now, Mark and I are members of the Bottom Line Party, which is an independent party for 25 years here in Windham. And we this year decided to endorse the mayor, Tom DeVivo, who we think is doing an exceptional job in moving Windham forward. And our values seem more aligned with that team, the Democratic team, and that's great. Mark and I are slightly more conservative than some members of the Democratic Town Committee, but not all of them. I think there's some that are more Republican than I am, and that's fine. But the key here is we support candidates who support Windham first, and I think the Democratic Town Committee does that. So November 4th is around the corner. Next Tuesday, polls will be open at your local polling stations at the VFW, the Windham Center Firehouse, and the Elks as well. So Dennis, let's start at the top of the ticket. Let's see the pros and cons and how you see this panning out and the big issues.
Well, I just want to say also that I'm a diehard Democrat. I've been a Democrat all my life. I was born to a Democratic father. My father was an activist, Irish Catholic, and my mother was a Republican, but my mother voted, Democratic.
Was that in the great city of New Britain?
It was in NB, yes, NB, the great city of New Britain, where I was lucky enough to grow up. It is a great city. It was a great city to grow up, to be there as a kid.
I haven't heard that before from you, Dennis. I'm glad to know.
That's news. That's a scoop.
Let me stop you there for a minute, Mark. If you're going to add to the conversation, please be mature about it. Just don't interrupt this young man here who has knowledge to share.
I just wanted to say that. I mean, I am a loyal Democrat. I was chairman of the Democratic Party for a long time. In my heyday, and the first seat I ever lost after years was when Dan Switchenko ran with you guys for.
Board of Ed.
Oh, that's when I was the chairman of the town.
No, that's when. Were you? Yeah,
yes,
you were.
I put that trifecta together.
And Lynn came in. I was able to gather the votes. It was myself, Dan, and John.
But enough about the past. I want to hear what
Dan was a key player in that election. But anyway, so when I first heard Bill Sayers talk about joining forces with the Bottom Line, I was And then I thought about it, and I thought about it real hard. I said, it's a really good idea because, the issue that is most important to me, the issue most important to me of all, is education. Always has been. Education has done a lot for me. Public education. I'm talking about public schools. I don't have any problem with private schools. I don't have any problem with a lot of things. But I don't care much for charter schools. I don't care much for any schools that are allegedly public other than the public schools. Public schools have been very good to a lot of people. Public schools made America great, and these guys are big supporters of public schools. And you have a really good ticket. Ken and Mark.
Mark, yeah.
With on the bottom line, and I think you've got some great candidates, and I think together we are quite a team between the Democratic Party and the
bottom line
party, and whatever else other parties there are, and people can't vote for all the Democrats. All the Democrats can't win anyway. And so this made a lot of sense to me. We're joining forces, and we're really, John McComas wrote a letter to the editor complaining that we're all ganging up on the Republicans. Well, maybe this is the time when if anybody's going to gang up on anybody, they should be ganged up on because they're connected to, the Washington Republicans, and things are happening in Washington that I think people in Windham, most people I talk to, I talk to a lot of people, don't like. We're talking about people losing their SNAP benefits soon. We're talking about people losing their health care. We're talking about the Department of Education being obliterated. That's ridiculous.
Right.
And so for us to coalesce, us three education supporters plus our other candidates to coalesce makes perfect sense to me because education is the only way this country is going to save itself is through public education.
I can tell you, Des, one of my major motivations for this new collaboration, if you will, is to get more consensus on the boards. I'm very tired of these. Having served as a minority member of the Board of Ed for a number of years, every year I've been there, except for one. I think it was the first year you lost, right? But having done that, I think it's important to get the consensus. You can have a different opinion, but you work it out. You have the discussion. You take the vote and you move forward. It's this name calling and sitting back and not participating, not planning. We really need. It's not that big a town. It's good size, but we really need boards that are going to work together across the lines, if you will, to come up with some plans so that we don't keep lurching from emergency to emergency.
You may not remember this, but back in the day when I was probably when I was still chairman of the Democratic Party, I used to go to the swearing-in ceremony every year. It was a nice ceremony. Everybody was there. The election was over, and I would get up and make a speech. And the speech I would make was, the election's over now. And, and during the election campaign, I am Democrat all the way. But once the election is over, we need to work together. And a lot of Republicans came to me and said to me, come on, you didn't really mean that. I said, no, I do mean it. And you're absolutely right, Mark. In fact, I made a speech like that last night at the Taxing District Board of Directors meeting, how all the people of Windham, people who are active in politics and government, the members of the public, we need to all hang together, work together, because we are a town that has challenges.
Yes.
We're a town that welcomes everybody. Everybody's welcome here. Not every town in the state does that. I can tell you from my experience going around the state and working for a lot of towns. And not every town welcomes everybody. We welcome everybody. Everybody is welcome here. And because of that, we have a lot of homeless people here. We have people. We have kids that are going to school, I'm sure, that are homeless. And Susan complains about that all the time. She says, "We got to do something about that." And we if we're going to do things about that, we need to work together locally. We also need to come together and support her and may flex her at the Capitol. We need to go down there. We need to testify on behalf of bills that come up. We had a bill that came up that I generated, frankly, because I went to the state, the CCM, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, and we actually dropped out of the CCM for a few
Correct.
years.
Yeah.
And that was initiated by me, Charlie Critch, and Dawn Niles. because we didn't think they were doing enough for the large cities and urban centers. And we're not large, real large, but we sure as heck are an urban center.
Yep.
And so they asked us what we wanted. And we said, we want a special committee to work on urban center issues together with New Haven, with Hartford, New Britain, Bridgeport. Even West Hartford was in there because they're large. And at the time, their town manager was Matt Hart, who used to be town manager in Mansfield and who understands the issues really well. And right away, we were able to get something done. We were able to get in a new three-tiered pilot reimbursement system, where tier one we get the most percentage, tier two a moderate percentage, and tier three the lowest, depending on wealth, depending on need. And we, of course, are in tier one. So that was something that we accomplished together. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more that can be done. For example, there are a lot, because there are a lot of low-income people in town, bless their hearts, but there are also a lot of social agencies. I worked for one for a long time, legal aid. They are not taxable. We can't tax them. We do not get any pilot money for them. And Susan has gone to the legislature several times pushing for pilot money for social service agencies, and she can't get enough support because we don't have the numbers. But when we work together with New Haven, Hartford, Bridgeport, and company, you never know what's going to happen. But if we can get folks like you two guys who are very prominent and very influential, our chief of police, our fire chief, because they're all working with these low-income people too. And to go down to the legislature and support legislation like that, who knows what can happen. So working together is important. That's one reason why I am totally behind the relationship we have for this election with the bottom line candidates.
Thank you for that, Dennis. I want to bring it all the way back to municipal, because in this cycle. Now, as you know, I took off probably 10 years. I mean, I stayed involved on a building committee and this, that, and the other thing, and I've always been active in groups outside of the political arena.
Were those the golden years of Windham politics? Is that I understood?
I thought they were when I was chairman of the Democratic Party. I'll shut up.
Holy smoke. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, so back then, it was fun. It was truly fun running a campaign, and the big feather in the cap was when we did take the Board of Education in a sense, and what happened with that? What happened with that was we worked together, because that board always worked together, because I always, as Dennis said different words, put your party hat aside, let's get this down to business for the staff and the kids here, and let's move things forward. And that's what our working meetings, if you wanted to see politics in action, it was always the working meetings. So when we went out front to the public and had our public meeting, it was we knew where everyone stood, and we knew things were going to pass. And because that's how it's done. It's done because we want the best look and eyes on what the leadership of the school district is doing. And it's now in this, I'm running for town council at large, and I want to see the same thing happen at town hall. I watched it for the last few years, going, it's turned nasty. In this campaign has turned pretty nasty. I mean, I'm not getting involved in the fray of it. I'm just sitting back because my name's out there. I represent my family. You want to vote for me? Vote for me. You don't? You don't. I win. I lose. But the reality of it is, I'm going to give it my best to help improve the look of the council and move the community forward, or for my suggestions and solutions. I'm smart enough to realize you're not going to win a war, but I might win a battle every now and then. But you'll be surprised at how many times we're going to all agree. Again, different paths to get to that agreement, but we'll get there, and respectfully and collegially. And that's what I'm looking forward to help this town. So I'll go back to my initial question, and that was, how do you see the mayoral race? Just that position for now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tom DeVivo has done a really, really great job as mayor. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's an 11-member board. The mayor doesn't have the kind of power you have in a place like Hartford or New Britain, where the mayor is called the strong mayor, and there's no town manager no town
Correct. Yeah.
administrator. So but he's not ceremonial. He has a lot of authority. He helps set the agenda for the meetings, and obviously with the title of mayor, there's a certain amount of respect.
He becomes the face of Windham out there.
Yeah, it's jawboning. I mean, he when he comes on my show or on your show, he has more. What he says about what's going on in the town of Windham from the town council standpoint has a heck of a lot more clout than what I say. Okay, even though I think I know a lot. I am not the mayor, and people aren't going to listen to me to the extent they would to him. And I think he's got it down pretty good. I think he's done a good job. The council works together fairly well. Of course, we lost a lot when Charlie Critch and I left a couple of years ago. We don't have any lawyers on the council anymore, and that's a problem. I mean, but anyway,
I'm not so sure about that.
I'm going to tag on Dennis, and because I too, as a resident and a taxpayer, I am really fed up with the whole argument because it may say in the charter ceremonial. When the mayor is in Hartford lobbying alongside of May Flexer and Susan Johnson for funding, that person's face is there representing me. When he or she is meeting with the president of Eastern, other developers that come into town, they're representing me. And so it's much more than a ceremonial position than people may say it is. And, it's funny that they're fighting so hard for a position that's just ceremonial. That's what if it wasn't that, then what are you running so hard for?
That is very well said. Very well said. In fact, you have earned the title, at least today, of voice of Wyndham.
Wow, from Dennis O'Brien,
including Willimantic.
Just
for today.
That's Wyndham is Willimantic today.
You're on the show.
I was thinking you were thinking about just a first taxing district.
Oh, no. I believe
Dennis, you're on the show, Dennis. You don't have to build him up anymore. It's okay.
Doyle, you have nothing to offer, please.
Mark.
He's already.
Hey, look,
Dennis, continue. Expound on that.
I want to expound on Mark.
He's already like a 25-pound turkey. Calm down.
Mark is so good, such a good guy, and I remember him when he ran the Y. And I was a regular patient.
You were one of my loyal basketball players, Dennis.
I once got an award for being the person who had been at the Y, because you had to punch in or sign in. Yeah. I had been at the Y more than anybody in the past 3 months or something like that. Yeah. And I got some kind of a star for that, gold star, maybe two.
It wasn't just you; it was also Leslie. Leslie was a regular.
Oh, Leslie was a regular. Yeah,
yep.
Leslie was a different category of attendee.
Yep.
Than I was. She was very young then.
She was.
She was a kid, but she was a lot of energy.
She's one of our regulars.
A lot of energy.
Focus on me.
Okay, wait. No, Ken. Hey, all right. Mark Doyle has been an excellent member of the Board of Education. He deserves re-election. He's as I said before. These are two strong supporters. Hardcore strong supporters of public education, along with me, Ken Folan and Mark Doyle. And that, to me, is vitally important because education is vital. We don't go anywhere without education. We don't want to become a nation of people who don't get it, who don't understand. And in order for democracy to work, people need to be educated, at least to the extent where they understand government, how it operates and how it should operate, and the ability also to work as a team, to work together. That's why I always advocated sports. I coached because you learn a lot in sports. You learn how to function as a team. You also learn how to bounce back from failure, because in sports you fail all the time. But anyway, Mark Doyle is a great member of the Board of Education. There's nobody I know who's ever served on the Board of Education who has ever said anything negative about Mark Doyle.
Thank you.
And I thought so much of Mark years ago when I wanted to try having substitute co-hosts for Let's Talk About It. When Susan was running for election, I chose Mark to be one of the co-hosts.
Yes, I was privileged to be.
He did a fine job.
We also got to lead the parade, the 4th of July parade.
Oh yeah, we carried the banner.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore because I have.
No, now you're in the car. I see you
arthritis. I'm riding in the car now. Anyway, let's talk about the town council.
Okay, go to the town council.
Town council. Okay, we've got you're in a race, Ken, for town council, and there are, let's see, four seats, I think,
Correct.
for the town-wide position. I was on the charter commission that set that up, and that was Tom White proposed it. I thought it was good. I said he wanted to move in the direction of one town, and it's a move. It's not a big move, but it's a move in the direction of one town. So we have seats where people have to run town-wide. The Democrats are running 3 really good candidates. The 4th candidate that really deserves election to that board and who will make an excellent board member and who understands how to function as a team player on a board is Ken Follin. No
Thank
question.
you, Dennis.
No question. I urge your support for Ken Follin for the board, for the town council, and also for Mark Doyle for Board of Education.
Yeah.
That is not a hard call.
No, well, I appreciate that, and I'm sure that Mark does as well. Coming from you, that means a lot. Obviously, the bottom line's on row E, so vote for your 3 Democrats on row A for that seat, and then down to row E for myself.
That's at the at-large, and then we also have folks for the individual spots.
Right. So here in Willimantic, we have Roy Dingler.
Roy Dingler's a good man.
Huge name in town.
Yep.
Nice, clean family man. Committed to youth sports like yourself in the past.
Great young sons.
Mr. Christmas.
Yep. His 2 sons coached Little League when I was umpiring. They were excellent. They were gentlemen. They were great coaches. They cared about the kids. I believe one of them works for the town.
One is a foreman at the Public Works Department right now. Yeah,
Public Works, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also the sexton, I believe.
Yes.
I think so. And he's and you couldn't find a nicer pair of young guys. I know them better than I know Roy. But every time I see Roy, he always smiles, and he's glad to see me, and I'm equally glad to see him. You know, sometimes some people you run into, and you're always happy to see them. I can say the same for Ken and Mark, and also Matt Rupar. I got to say that about him. I'm always happy to see Matt Rupar. Matt Rupar is a friend of me and Ken and Mark, and that's good. We're all buddies, and we're all happy to be here together.
Yeah,
but I think on that, Ken, you would make an excellent addition to the town council along with our 3 candidates.
Yeah, no,
Excellent.
and I'm looking forward to Roy Dingler getting out there a little bit more here in Willimantic, because I think we need to fill that spot. And then we have Susan Blankenfor from the Democratic side, who's on the bottom line.
Yeah.
Now, she's won her seat because of a situation, right?
Yes, she has.
And I met her for the first time about 4 months ago, and a wonderful, well-educated person. We're getting some really highly educated people on these boards, and that's, degrees are one thing, common sense is another. It's not the end of the world. But
it's a lot of ways to get educated, but
exactly,
public schools it's a good place to start.
She's a very, very a smart person, so we're grateful for Susan coming on board with us. And then, I don't know if you've met her. I think you have. I'll let Mark Tracy, Tori Holm,
Tracy.
from Bacon Funeral Parlor. Now, there is a young lady, her and her husband, they invested in our community. They moved here 7 years ago, bought the Bacon Funeral Parlor, opened 3 businesses right
they
within
3
it.
businesses now,
And, her last child is finishing Providence College. But, she is smart as a whip. She worked for Accenture, which is one of the top 5 largest international business consulting firms as an executive. She is brilliant. She's studying budget. She's looking at the big picture. I don't think we can go wrong as a community than having Tracy at that particular board, because it takes a lot to grasp, and I think she has what it takes to get it real quick.
This is not a hard call at all. I heard her on the radio with either you or Bill Sayers or both of you.
She's been on both shows.
I definitely heard her. She's very impressive.
Right.
And she actually we had an open house for the Democratic candidates the other night, and she showed up there.
Sure.
And that was cool. And I got a chance to meet her, and I think she's terrific. And the interesting thing about the Board of Finance, which is kind of rare, but you can vote for any 7. There's only 7 positions.
Correct.
And so there are 5 Democrats, excellent Democrats, and I support them fully. I think this is the best Board of Finance we've ever had. I really do. I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, but I think this Board of Finance, headed up by Tyler Griffin, is the best Board of Finance we've ever had. It's more supportive, I would say, of public education than any Board of Finance we've ever had. And to me, that's the most important thing. And so she seems like she would be a great. You have 7 votes. You got to vote for Tracy, along with the 5 Democrats.
I first met Tracy when she joined the Dollars for Scholars board that I actually been on for 20 years, and so she's been involved in the community even before she decided to run. And that's why I invited her to run for office on our ticket. I'm really hoping Tracy's going to when she's on the board, I know she's going to be working together. I'd like to see the Board of Finance be a little more involved in the actual day-to-day financing. Right now, they get excited over the budgets, and then they kind of go to sleep. And I think right now, as there are some folks who pointed out, budgets are going to be very tight for the next couple of years because of the cutbacks in federal loan monies. And it's going to be important for that Board of Finance to look at all of the assets that the town has and actually develop, again, I'm going back to the word planning, always develop some sort of plan as to how we're going to maximize what we have to get us through this tighter period. Because Windham is, as you pointed out, Dennis, Windham is a poor town, and we rely heavily on some grants. And so when they get cut, that really hurts.
Well, we're poor only in the sense that we have a high poverty rate, but we're very blessed in a lot of ways.
Right.
So many great people here.
What I'd like to do now is make sure, because this is a partnership, in a sense, knowing different viewpoints are coming from the bottom line, different viewpoints are going to come from some Democrats, but it's a partnership. So I want to go through the row A ticket. Obviously, Tom DeVivo, running as the mayoral candidate,
Excellent.
endorsed by both parties.
Yep.
Look, my wife grew up with the DeVivo family. You couldn't ask for a closer and better friendship between the Tambernini family and the DeVivos.
The DeVivos had great parents.
The great Mary
parents.
Lou, my God.
Yeah.
I loved
And
it.
Jim.
When I was on the Board of Ed, I sometimes cringe walking down the street and running into Mary Lou because I don't know if she was happy at some of the things I did or bad. But when she was happy, she loved me. When she was mad at me for voting a certain way, she hated me. But God rest her soul, she loved the public schools. So that's period.
Education was
so
primary for her, just
Tommy,
like it is for us.
Tommy has really taken the DeVivo family flag and has helped Windham greatly. On the town council at large side, you got a guy like Bill Sayers, who's open-minded in fear. You've got Dawn Niles. I mean, maybe overly committed. My gosh, to all the things that she does to help improve this community. And Randall Prose, Coach Prose from Windham High School, just a great professional at the school, well respected there. Has done nothing but help children along the way. I look forward to supporting them.
You served with Randall on the building committee for the
we're still doing it.
And he's
still doing it.
He does so many things. Sometimes it's hard to get him to, his schedule is tough.
Yeah, no,
mine is pretty tough, but
his
not
wife,
as tough as
I've known his wife forever too. Beth,
Yep.
she's been involved as a teacher in the school district.
Kid.
So there's your council at large. I'd like to have you vote and join them.
Yep.
Then in Willimantic, again, we have Roy Dingler on the bottom line, row E. For Willimantic District, but then you have Clinton Adams. You have you're gonna have to help me with some names.
Rodney
Alexander.
Rodney Alexander and Eddie.
Eddie Rios.
Now, otherwise known as DJ Chuck.
DJ Chuck. Well, it's not quite the voice of Wyndham, but either way, he's a great guy. I mean, he took upon himself to go clean, a playground. He's taken upon himself. He has things in his mind and his heart that he wants to see improved. He's extremely active. And that's what I like to see. I would love to team up with him and get a couple of things going that get things done. Out in the Wyndhams, you have obviously Susan Blankenfor again on the bottom line side, and
Mike DeSolius.
Well, he's on there currently.
Oh, he's on
He got automatic.
I think of Curtis.
He's there.
And then
Curtis.
there's Curtis who's on there currently.
Curtis Eller's running for
But
the.
so that outside of Susan being a Democrat on the bottom
Yeah.
line, you don't have another Democrat out there.
No.
Right.
No. So we're and those are the major boards. There's also the taxing district board in Willimantic, and there's seven candidates for 6 positions.
Right.
And there are 4 Democrats, 2 Green Party members who have done a really good job, Mike Westerfield and Doug Larry. Doug Larry is. I've served on charter commissions with Doug Larry. Doug Larry and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but he certainly is interested in doing the very best he can for the police and fire departments of the city.
Doug is huge on data.
Yep.
And he's a gentleman. He knows how to work with people.
Yeah, I can work. Doug and I are totally different people, totally different. But he is, he's not. The one thing I want to say about the reason I went on the police fire board, the reason I want to be on it and want to stay on it is that they are doing a marvelous job. For one thing, the other thing is, there were people running around a few years ago when the gentleman unfortunately was killed by a cop in Minnesota. Running around saying defund the police, and that is not sane. I just couldn't accept that. And I did not want our board to be afflicted with that kind of notion. That is not right. Public safety is vitally important. It's not I could probably never be a police officer, but I have the utmost respect for them. Their jobs are difficult. Firefighters' jobs are difficult. Teachers' jobs are difficult. People that serve on the council and the board of education, those are difficult jobs. We need the best people we can put on there. So once again, aside from partisanship, and I am very partisan when it comes to elections, and I think I'm being partisan now by supporting the bottom line, because I don't see any differences between our candidates and the bottom line candidates in terms of having you got to have a good heart. That's what I'm looking for. Good-hearted people care about children. Good-hearted people care about educating them, about taking good care of them, making sure they're safe. Okay, and that's what we've got on the row A and row E lines. Good-hearted people.
Dennis, let's talk about the back of the ballot, right? And the big question is the new consolidated school.
Right.
Now, you've heard me speak about this before.
I have.
You know, most of my family is still in education. I got multiple nephews who are superintendents, the whole nine yards. And when I talked to them about it, before I said, yeah, Mark, that's not a bad idea, it's their new business model. If I'm going to take it like a businessman like that I am, it is a new business model to deliver education. Yeah. And I think Windham itself has taken many leaps and bounds to improve itself. I call it reinvesting. Whether the Shabu stage, the garage, the new high school, the senior, it's called reinvesting, because then now developers can see that. I think the school, in my opinion, is the next thing we have to invest in, so that we're ready for the future for these kids. And again, those elementary grades, that's that foundation that we build upon. You're not going to be superstars at the high school if you're not getting what you need at the foundation.
You got to get a good start.
That's right.
That's why I was a judge for 12 years in the Windham probate court, and most of the cases I had were children's cases. I had a lot of children's cases, and I was a big advocate when people would come in and, with young children below regular school age, below 5, I would ask them if the child or grandchild was in preschool. And if they weren't, I would talk to them for quite a while, trying to convince them, because it's voluntary. And if I had my druthers, we would have preschool, we would have mandatory. I don't like homeschooling. Not at all. I think it's apparently it's some court has said it's constitutional right. I haven't read the case. I don't like the decision. I really believe in the public school system, and I believe that kids are definitely old enough to accept education from others and learn from others outside the family starting at age 3. And I think if I had my druthers and I were king, I would make school mandatory at age 3. I would especially do it in the 7 towns that are in Erg I. The lowest erg,
right?
Well, which we are one, because we have a steep hill to climb in this town, and anybody who's involved in public education has my 100%, 110% support, because it's not easy.
Dennis, why
we're looking
there?
forward, by the way, to meet the new superintendent. Susan just met her the other day. That's one thing you guys did. We used to have a lot of shows on education, and now you guys come on at 4:00 on Thursdays. And you're doing all shows on education. I said, wait a minute.
That's right.
It took me a while. Sometimes it takes me a while to get it. But I said, this is good. This is good. Just like I said today, if my cat is still alive and living with somebody else, it's okay. It's okay. He's still alive anyway. Right. He's not with me, but he's still alive. Okay, it's not me who's having the superintendent on 2 or 3 times before I even get her on once. Well, she's coming. She's coming. Susan met with her yesterday, guys. So we will have a little competition.
We have
no competition. She knows this is the number 1 rated show on WRI.
Also, we have a non-compete.
Let's talk about it, right?
Dennis, we have a non-compete clause for our guests, so I'm not sure. We'll have to check the lawyer with that.
No, we love it. When we took over for Ernie Eldridge for a little while on his show in
the neighborhood.
at the neighborhood, and I said to Mark, let's use this opportunity as a platform to highlight. And we watched them. We had 8 shows in a row, and some people are sick of it. We're sick of it. You get it.
I never.
Well, you hear things. Yeah. And I said no.
You're right. Everybody's different.
And I said, I'm not going to stop, because it's the biggest economic driver in school. It's the most important thing we have in town. these kids and these families. I'm like I told you before, no secret. I'm one of a dozen kids. It was the only way out of poverty, and my parents knew that. Get an education. Get an education, get an education. So all of us did. The 12 of us did. And we've all done fairly well and work hard every day at it. And these young guys that are in school now, they're here for no other reason, the same reason my grandparents immigrated to this country. No different than yours. They wanted the opportunity for the children to have a better life.
That's right.
And so I am that close to the life of these folks, and I think that's why it resonates deep within me. I just recently did a dinner for the boys soccer team. I asked my son, he's an assistant coach, engineer, and his buddy, a kid who used to come to my house for dinner back when he was a freshman. We had him on the show, a young teacher, and he made it clear. He said, yes, parents aren't doing that much more, Mr. Foley. And I said, you know something, I'll make a promise. Let's get through the season. I'm going to put on a dinner. My wife and I cooked for 3 weekends in a row, and we were able to feed the 44 kids, and they ate. And it was so gratifying to see that, but inside, most of these folks were either Guatemalan or Mexican, and my heart was breaking on the inside knowing that third meal they got today was something like they never seen, and they left with packages, and it was wonderful, and that's why I look with contempt at some people who make these comments about people in need, and maybe they just need that one extra push, that one extra lift, and they're gonna be just fine, and Windham does a hell of a job with it. With the situation here, and you are right. I hate to bring in the national level into here, but the baloney that's going on is now impacting the local level. Look at the food pantry. Look at the people with the SNAP benefit. Yeah. This is going to be. I've said it for a while that this is going to be one rough winter. Unless we can play ball together soon, they're going to be hurt.
That's exactly the reason why we need more than ever to pull together all of us who are like-minded and want and care about the children, care about the seniors, care about the whole community. No matter who you are, what you are, where you came from, what color you are, what religion you are, everybody's a human being. You got to take. We have to take care of each other. We're actually hot wired to do that to some extent, and we need to follow those instincts. And you know, this is a ticket. The A and E lines that can do that for the town to the best of our ability. It's not going to be easy, no matter who we elect, but we are gonna do better because we're going to work together, unlike we ever have before. I really believe that.
Yeah, we have to work together. We have to do some planning. We have to make sure that people understand that. Also, that the boards understand each other. The Board of Finance, the town council needs to understand what the education is all about, and vice versa. But it's important for us to cooperate.
Well, that's one of my proponents is to bring back a working, not just a meeting, tri-board. Hey, these are the challenges we're facing on the Board of Ed, the town council. How can you help? Board of Finance, do you understand how the impact is if we don't do that? You know, I think there needs to be a broader understanding of the responsibilities of each board. I think it's important that we stay in our lanes, but it's important that we know what the heck. But if you want to, and I say that, I don't like to say stay in your lane, because in reality, I don't want to work in a silo.
Yeah, you have to be creative.
You've got to be, and this is
times.
going to be tough. And you know, do you need to go see a kid who's sitting in the school and is hungry? They're not going to do too well.
No.
You know, it's not going to happen. You can't keep cutting sports, because that's the hook that latches kids to a school. There's that relationship with the coach, that relationship with another teammate, somebody, typically an adult you want to hook up with, so they have a reason to go, someone with a problem. You know, I always bring my wife into the picture, but she just had a kid who she was out like with an illness like overnight, which is rare for her. You can check her attendance, so she gets a day a year. So it's amazing. And the boy went, just a little frazzled, and they checked on her. Yeah, I'll be in tomorrow. So the boy said, "Please don't take tomorrow off. Don't I mean, these kids they're not looking for a parent at the school. Some are raised in one single family, but they've adjusted that in some respect. But they are looking for some kind of a way to keep a schedule and harness that energy and focus on what they do. Dennis, if I brought a letter in, I think I shared it with Mark. This young girl wrote to my wife Kelly, expressing her thoughts about where she is and how she's graduating this year. Right, Mark?
Right.
And I mean, like I told my wife, I said, no matter what you're earning, this is $1 million paycheck. And I, as a Board of Ed member, I can't tell you how many $1 million paychecks I received from kids finally crossing a stage, kids who had issues, whether, from a suspension. And I said, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'll be the other guy on the side. I'll gladly give you your diploma. And the kid came up to me with sunglasses crossing the stage with them. He said, hey, I did it, mister. I graduated. And I'm like, there's so many kids in need. It's tough. Nothing that you haven't seen in legal aid.
Right. I saw it for years. One of the things that you get a lot out of it yourself when you're helping other people.
Absolutely.
I get a tingle in my spine when I feel I've helped somebody, and like watching somebody graduate. And all the kids I've coached and stuff like that go on to college and things. Some did, some didn't. But I can't think of a single one of all the kids I've ever coached, and I can't take credit for it. It's a lot of people that helped this kid along the way.
Right.
But I can't think of a single one that just fell on their face.
No.
I mean, they're just doing well, and there's so many kids that have come through the Windham public school system that have done great things, and it's just great. I mean, it's just a great thing to do, and we need the whole community to get behind it. And you're right, we need to have people vote yes on Tuesday, November 4th. Vote yes on I guess you flip the ballot over to the other side.
And that's one of the things we're looking for is that K through fourth grade school, we're looking to consolidate the grade schools into one school so that we can better serve the children. Right now, we have to separate services between 3 different schools. It costs more money that way. It reduces the effectiveness of our teachers who aren't able to work together as a group and combined. It will allow us to develop more programming, more specialized programming, because they'll be in one school and we can centralize activities. Not to mention, the buildings are at a point where it's probably end up costing us more to maintain the buildings we have than to build a new one. And that's, again, where planning comes into state. We need the council to get serious about what are they going to do with these facilities.
Yeah, I think Kevin Donahue wrote a really good letter to the editor of the Chronicle that where he put out figures and stuff like that about how much we're going to save in the near future over time by having a new school as opposed to maintaining the 3 that are left. And he's right. And Mansfield did it. And I know you can't. It's hard. It's not easy to say Mansfield did it because Mansfield is different. Okay, we are different. This is going to cost us some money locally down the line, not for a while, but it is something that will have to be done sooner or later. And we're probably eligible for more of a reimbursement now than we would get later. Who knows? I mean, the state is going to have serious financial difficulties because a lot of the stuff that's happening from the federal level is first going to be pushed down to the state.
It's trickling.
And it's going to trickle down to us on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And so, we have to be smart. We have to be efficient. We have to be economical. We have to be future-oriented as well as thinking about the present. Because, we're planning to be around here for a while. Even I am planning to be around here for a while. Really?
Wow.
I'm working at it. Right, Rupar?
That's right.
Yeah, and I want to be here. I want to still be on WILI competing to be the number one show again.
Yes,
Well, he
it's gonna be tough.
competing to be the number one show again. He's admitting he's not the number one show.
I didn't say
Windham Weekly, folks.
I didn't say I was losing the competition. I didn't say I was losing the competition. We are the premier show. There's no doubt about it. We are.
What, on Fridays?
We have the premier time spot.
You're the top show on Friday.
What we got to do is we got to get you and Rupar on at 5 o'clock. But Rupar is not going to take our spot. We're not going to let him have it. It's got to be some other night. I'll think about it.
We'll figure it out.
Well, okay. I better leave it at that.
Right.
Art Robotham may not like what I'm. I'll let. It's all up to Art, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Art does a wonderful job. And I met Art when he first came on here, and he's a lawyer. He was a public defender in Florida. Another guy with a big heart, a great heart. I'll tell you what, the idea of having all these additional shows instead of playing, I like music, but silly love songs I could do without. Sorry,
Bring back the polka show. Bring back the polka show.
Sorry, Paul McCartney. Silly
We
love
want
songs.
polka.
I've heard these songs enough times. I'd rather hear Mark Doyle talk and even Ken Folan. And if during the day, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever the time is.
You know, it's fun. He says that because his wife Susan bought him for his birthday my Ken Folin on tape classic hits edition, and he listens to it every night.
The best of Ken Foley.
Anyway,
Okay.
hey, listen,
he hums along to the stars.
we need to wrap it up.
I'm
before-
on board. I'm on board.
Before we wrap it up, I do have to mention Susan. Bill Sorver and I, many years ago, formed the Before and After School Task Force at Windham.
Yeah.
And Susan was always a strong member of that group with us.
Sure.
And she did help and was always involved in bringing thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of grant money into the town
Yep.
to help with our Before and After School programming for our kids. And so that was part of reaching across the line, if you will. I made sure to always involve Susan and have her there. We had many other unity groups there, but Susan was always there with us at our meetings and always a strong supporter.
Susan would love to be on the show today with us, but there's only room for
We only have 3
big
chairs.
talkers,
Right.
and
right.
that would be hard. That would be
Yeah.
difficult, right, Matt?
So
Matt is shaking his head.
Right.
So we want to
Okay.
wrap it up with the incomparable Dennis O'Brien. We thank him wholeheartedly for not just being here tonight, time again away from family, given to his community, but for his endorsement of Mark and I and the rest of the Bottom Line team, working with Rowway, the Democratic team, because we know we can make a difference. So thank you for that, Dennis. Again, I started, like I said at the top, thank you to Susan Johnson, for our state rep, for allowing us, and happy birthday once again. And finally, next Thursday, the campaign will be over. We'll have some results, but our focus is going to be our guest. That's Vinny Iovini, the former drama teacher, English teacher up at the high school. We're going to talk about a play he wrote regarding veterans at Christmas. He works very hard now in his retirement with veterans in our area. So thank you for listening to Windham Weekly.
He'll be a great guest. He was on with Dennis O'Brien and Susan Johnson's video Iovini's several years ago. All right.
And I want to thank Dennis for coming on here from her hometown of Britain, and especially Ken from the state of Rhode Island, which is also known as Little New Britain. So I want to appreciate both of you guys.
Thank you, Dennis.